Funky live guitar music that comes on Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil Hippie Network, Rumble, X, all that good stuff. Type in iNewsWire Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face and get all our archives and do all that good stuff on that jam-packed show. Man, did Temecula School District expose or maybe fight back? Very interesting contract Antoinette Elaine has been putting out on there, showing the possible corruption, stealing between Riverside and San Bernardino County school districts and all your local schools and everything. For all you parents or in the community that think, oh, my school and my school district and my teacher are so great. Open your eyes a little bit. Did bears go thrash a car? Or, as Paul Harvey used to say, what is the rest of the story? Riverside County Board of Supervisors, I haven't been there in a couple of meetings or so. I guess I'm going to have to go back. They're going to force me to. Because they seem to just be out of control. And they can't seem to run a meeting without me being there. So we'll give you an update what happened there Tuesday morning. Trump again switching the oil on against all the Gavin Newsoms and eco-freaks and stupids who've had it shut off for a long time. We'll get into the So Does It Matter column by John Flashman. Paris High School was shut down. This one student was arrested for having a gun at school, allegedly. Long Beach Grand Prix this weekend. Orange Show's on. There'll be lots of fun activities. Orange Show Speedway will be operating Saturday night, so lots of fun things going on. But, as we said, lead story of the day, Trump Strait of Hormuz is completely open. Here's a short Bill Melugin report from Fox News. Here we go.
Good evening, I'm Bill Melugin, and this is your Fox News report. The Strait of Hormuz is fully open, but President Trump insists the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports will stay until the war is over. The U.S. and Iran continuing to work towards a deal. European leaders are planning to map out new security measures for the critical oil route. Meanwhile, the 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon continues to hold. The man accused of killing Charlie Kirk wants to keep cameras out of the courtroom.
And cameras should be in the courtroom. I don't know why they're trying to do that, but we'll get into that. The Strait of Hormuz is open. Donald J. declared that. Iran says it's fully open. Looks like there's a resolution coming to the conflict of that. Here's the statement from the great El Presidente, Donald J. Strait of Hormuz is completely open and ready for business and full passage. But the naval blockade will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran only until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete. This process should go very quickly in that most of the points have already been negotiated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So it appears, barring something unforeseen, Strait of Hormuz is open completely, 100%. There's no issues pending, just wrapping up the final parts of the negotiations. So maybe we will return back to some semblance and normal of reality. The second piece of this, Mr. Trump Now that the Hormuz Strait situation is over, I received a call from NATO asking if we would need some help. I told them to stay the F away. Well, he didn't put the F part in. Unless they want to just load up their ships with oil. They were useless when we needed a paper tiger. When needed, they were a paper tiger. President DJT. We need to pull out of NATO, the United Nations, and all that other crap. All they do is rely on us. And then they try to roll in and take credit or say, oh yeah, after it's all done, oh yeah, we'll help you out. Here's the useless Prime Minister Starmer and the Frenchman.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. We just had a very productive meeting, bringing together 49 countries around a very simple message and proposition that the world needs the Strait of Hormuz fully open.
It already is. Starmer and Macron, what a two bunch of boobs. Trying to come in at the end, and after it's negotiated, oh, well, we want the Strait of Hormuz open. Well, it is, stupid, and no help of you, you big blundering idiot. Him standing there with Macron. Absolutely. What a bunch of buffoons. The oil price, you can see, crashed. U.S. oil prices crashed to $83 a barrel as Iran officially reopens. No, the United States officially reopens the Strait of Hormuz for the remainder of the ceasefire. So it appears we have finally a resolution to the whole Strait of Hormuz thing. Hopefully the gas prices and diesel prices will soon flow lightlier. We'll get to that and much, much more on the rest of today's show. Yes, we will. More, and I even had some contentions about what was going on. Looks like we're going to get this whole thing. Hopefully, we're done with this weapons of mass destruction and all this other stuff. And I will say this, I hope with the Lebanon deal of that, we need to tell Israel, if you're doing this stuff or whatever, you're on your own. We're not backing you up anymore on any of this stuff. We're not getting dragged into it. Or whatever happened. We have to be firm, and this is the last time we're bailing out this whole Middle East conflict. At least that's my opinion on the whole enchilada. Reports of a bear's thrashing a car. Well, if bears thrashed your car, you'd probably be calling up your insurance company saying, hey, bears beat the crowd, thrash my car, destroy, bust the windows, got the honey and ice cream out of the car, whatever. Okay, open up a claim and all this. Strange happenings, maybe only in California, but this is a bizarre story from CBS Los Angeles. Let's see if she plays. Here we go.
Clever criminals, a group of people dressing up as bears and trashing their own cars for insurance money.
And CBS LA assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, they weren't that clever because, of course, they were caught and now sentenced.
Yeah, I think it was the opposable thumbs in the video that gave them away when this whole thing was caught on security cameras. We'll show you the video here. These people dressed up in these bear costumes and then allegedly ransacked their own cars. There it is, the bear climbing through the front seat here. California Department of Insurance prosecuted this case. Everybody involved in this are three.
Holy cow. So they're sitting there. They get bear costumes, say, oh, my car got damaged, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then they're turning it in for an insurance claim. I want, who does an imbecile thing like that? I mean, if you're going to pull off a con, try to make it at least plausible. Here's more.
Out of the 4 people involved in this were all sentenced to 180 days in jail, but it's 180 days in weekend jail. So they are free during the week, and then they check themselves into jail on the weekends, and they do that for 180 days. It's a bit unusual, but that is what the judge ordered, and that is what the sentence is. There's also some restitution involved in all of this. The California Department of Insurance says they're always...
So that's about 180 days if you're doing 104 days if you do it out. You know, a year, 180. Well, you're almost 2 years worth of weekends. I'm pretty sure they probably won't do that. But this has got to be the world's... Maybe. Well, this is part of the Darwin Awards, World's Dumbest Criminals of the Year, especially in this area. But let's finish up the CBS.
On the lookout for fraudsters, and if you do that, you too could end up in weekend jail.
Now, 52 weeks in a year, that's a lot of weekends.
That's a lot of weekends.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, thanks.
So,
I started a business to give old clothes a new life.
got to shut the thing off. What a bunch of geniuses. I hope they do. You know, that's not the biggest John Dillinger crime, but should be at least 6 months worth of weekends. You know, that would be at least 52 days that they would serve of that. But then you have the expense of renting the... Or did they buy the bear costumes? Or did they steal the bear costume? Where do you get a bear costume? I guess. Some of the criminals we got are astonishingly mind-boggling in their stupidity. It's about like the Lego deal. Did you hear about that? Dude, I guess, you know, he's stealing the high-end Legos, but I don't know, probably $300 or $400 a box. And they put noodles, dried noodles or pasta in the box, seal it back up, take it back to Target, get the refund back, and then rebox up these high-dollar Legos and sell them online or in the black market. $34,000 dude got caught with. He was arrested in L.A., but have been doing it all across the country. Again, you're going to risk your life or in jail. And I hope they should throw the maximum sentence at this guy. You know, that just raises astronomical. You talk about inflation. You and I have to pay for that. Because there is no putting them back on the shelf. You know, $500 Lego set or whatever these stupid things cost. You know, you got $1.50 worth of pasta in there that you can't even sell anyway. So that has to be reflected back in the price of all the other goods and services you and I buy every day. This happened to be at a Target's. They targeted Target. But she's... You know, one thing about one of the main things that have taken down and they manipulate us with is schools and the kids, because they know they got you by the emotional heartstrings, especially the smarter half of the population. We've been ripped off by teachers. They no more than California financed the politicos and told everybody, you know, you got to vote for these or your kids will. Oh, well, your kids did get a piss poor education. Teachers are making record salaries for a poor performance in recorded world history. Now it's become just infiltrated in everything. And most people are probably yeah, we do have a school board. You know, obviously, if you got kids in school, you know where they're at. Oh, yeah, some people know, yeah, we have a school board, which kind of does our local stuff. Most people do. I bet you 2 out of 100 probably even know there's a county board of education. There's 58 of them. Every county in California has a county board of education. They're in charge of all the schools in your school district. You know, when your board of education, like the crime syndicate here in Moreno Valley, Val Verde, which has another issue coming up we'll get to in a minute, or any of the others, RUSD, Riverside, San Bernardino, Etiwanda, Desert Sands, whatever. They're all under the County Board of Education, or in this case in Riverside County. Your County Board of Education has to approve every school budget. So when they pass it, that's not the end of it. If the County Board of Education says, no, we're not doing this, you're going to go back to the drawing board. We have Edwin Gomez, superintendent out here in Riverside County, a Corey Jackson protege, which would scare the crap out of anybody, especially if you got kids in Riverside County. You got Ted Alejandre in San Bernardino. There's a lady I ran across of this. She was a school teacher in San Bernardino. She goes by Antoinette Elaine. You can follow her on the Evil FB network. I don't know if she's on TikTok or Instagram, but I know she's on Facebook. That's where I saw her. She's been pointing out down at the Riverside County Board of Education and a lot of things. She was a teacher that was trying to say, hey, there seems to be some very explicit sexual stuff going on here in and around this school I'm in, yada, yada, yada. And they basically blew it off from what she has posted. And she has testified in public comments at the school board, County Board of Education in this. Well, there's this New Deal cabal that all school districts, it's combined between Riverside and San Bernardino County Board of Educations, and all the school districts have signed on with this whole teachers and everything contract and all that. And nobody can really, it's kind of like the voting thing. Nobody can really explain it. So Temecula said, you know, we're going to look at this contract. It's coming up on our agenda. And this is Antoinette Elaine at the Temecula School Board meeting. And I'm pointing this out for the people to say, well, you know, if they don't ever do anything and it's so useless. Well, take a look at this.
Tonight, my name is Antoinette, and I'm a real-life example of how damaging IPC is to an employee. There is significant confusion about what the Inland Personnel Council actually is, and that confusion is reflected in your agenda, which is inaccurate and misleading to the public. The agenda conflates two completely different
agendas being inaccurate and misleading. How many times have I went up to these bodies and said, completely I mean, I can accept any decision you make as long as you're making it on complete and accurate information. Here's Antoinette Elaine saying the same thing. Your agenda and what they're trying to snowball through you, through staff or whatever's going on, isn't what's really the case. You better pay attention. Here we go.
Different things. First, IPC is a joint agreement between school districts for personnel training, where AALRR is hired as a vendor to provide those trainings. Second, this district also holds a separate legal service contract with AALRR. They are not the same. They are different contracts with different purposes and different billing structures. Because the same law firm is operating in multiple roles, these roles have been blurred. There are 3 separate layers of contracts that must be understood. First, IPC itself, the joint powers agreement signed by the districts. IPC is defined as a group of school districts. It is intended for personnel-related training. It is governed by the 2 county superintendents, Ted Alejandre and Edwin Gomez, who selected AALRR as the training vendor. They create the bylaws, which miraculously no one can locate.
So your county, according to Antoinette Elaine, you can't find out anything about the county superintendents create the bylaws and stuff. Where is that's why they should shove this transparency word up their rear end. There is no such thing as transparency in government. They try to cover up every darn crooked fraud, anything that's going on, stuff, mainly because they're profiting from it. And any of them that want to come in here, please, Eddie Gomez, Teddy Boy, or anybody else, please come in here and sit on this chair next to me. We'll broadcast it till the frickin' cows come home. And you prove me wrong. Have some balls and take the challenge. Be a man. Instead of a whiny little bee sitting under there and sitting in your ivory tower and will not take questions or will not defend your actions. That's what's wrong with the whole school system.
Second, the county level IPC contract. The agreement is signed by the county superintendents and AALRR. It is not signed by this board. Yet, you are bound by its contract terms. It introduces a discounted rate for structure that does not exist in an original JPA, and it appears as a function as an incentive for IPC member districts to hire AALRR for separate legal services. Third, your independent legal services contract with AALRR. The contract covers areas like special education, facilities. Those services can be provided by any law firm. The problem is that these separate agreements are blended together, creating confusion about what IPC is and where public funds are going. District Attorney Michael Hestrin has already been notified of the potential misuse of public funds. You are told there are discounts. Have you done a cost-benefit analysis? EdWatch.net.
Oh, I love that one. Have they done a cost-benefit analysis? Ha 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 ha. This is what the big, humongous. So I'm saying, do all of you think, oh, it's my school, my teacher, they're doing it, it's everybody else. No, it is your school, your teacher, and everybody else's. And the whole California education system is the corruptest of the corruptest.
Reports that they are paying $350 a night for IPC conferences held at fancy resorts with cocktail hour with attorneys. Is this a benefit to taxpayers? The critical issue is, where are the bylaws? These bylaws govern how IPC operates, what authority has been delegated. Without them, this board has no idea what authority has been transferred or what you are offering. The bottom line is simple. The information presented here is inaccurate. You guys are...
So to those And congratulations to Antoine Elaine for standing up and making a very principled and poignant and with lots of evidence presentation before the board. These guys, and this is what if you want change, if you want the fraud to stop all across the board and have them pick in your pocket, this is what you have to do. You have to go there because for all those saying, oh, they're going to do what they want, well, the Temecula School Board, much to their credit, shot down this contract. So you can have an effect if you use the power you have. The most important public office is private citizen Edwin Brandeis. But you have to exercise that power. We'll see where it goes in the investigation. We'll see where Mike Hestron goes with it. I will ask or see if a complaint has been filed with the San Bernardino County District Attorney Jason Anderson, or he has the evidence because, again, this is a two-county issue. And both of them could be dealing with the corruption. So to everybody, Antoine Elaine, anybody else that went up there and said, hey, what the heck's going on? Kudos to the Temecula School Board, who's taken a lot of heat for a lot of things, for saying, you know, we're just not gonna go along with this at this point until we're more comfortable what the hell's going on here. Again, this is how they hose you every which way but Sunday on these issues. On the whole Riverside County school scene, this comes up. Loaded firearm prompts shelter-in-place order to high school in Paris. Student in custody. ABC Savon reports. A high school in Paris is under shelter-in-place order Friday after a loaded firearm was located on campus, according to the school district's police. An investigation at Orange Vista High School around 10 a.m. led the recovery of a firearm and the arrest of a student, said Val Verde District Office Department. The student was removed from the campus following the arrest and will be booked into Riverside County Juvenile Detention Center. Police said no injuries were that. Again, video from the scene. There was a big scene out whenever this was happening. What disturbed me about it was reading the comments on the Evil Up E network of that, oh, we need metal detectors and all this other stuff. No, you don't. Why don't everyone or the majority of you work to have a community in a school district where this doesn't happen? When you're down to metal detectors and 12-foot high razor fences, you're teaching your kids the equivalent of they're going to spend the rest of their lives in jail. When they get to be adults, they're going to be controlled because you are putting them in a controlled environment like a jail. You're forming your kids in their early years when they're so moldable, like skulls full of mush, like Rush used to say, into accepting this, and you're doing it. No, you don't need metal detectors. Those of you in the Val Verde School District, oh, my school is great. We're doing that. Oh, now you want metal detectors. You want your kids to be dependent. You want washing machines in your school. You don't want a washing machine at your house. You don't want to have the economic ability to have the freedom to have a washing machine in your house. Everyone, like we used to have. Like schools where you could just walk in and out of them any time of day, anyone, nobody had any concerns. That is called freedom. They are selling you dependency on them. They are putting you on the plantation. They are grooming you generation after generation. as Abraham Lincoln said, that what's taught in the schools today is going to be the politics of tomorrow. And the lifestyle, and the quality of life, and everything else. You're teaching your kids that, you know what? You're going to have permission to do everything. You're going to live in a communistic dictatorship society. Government's going to decide who and what succeed, who and what you're going to do every day. They're putting the equivalent of a quarter, remember the old quarter on the deal to get into the bathroom stall? That's the equivalent of the way they're shaping your lives. No, you do not need metal detectors at your school. You need a community where you don't have to have 12-foot high fences with razor wire and metal detectors and everything else. Or you're dependent on whatever. You're dependent on the school to feed your kids. Stop it. You know, the bottom line is just people need to get their S together. I mean, it's really as simple as that. Unless this is the way you want to live. I guess that's for everyone to determine. How they want to do how they want to play it. But it's really time a lot of us do some soul searching, and like we said, there isn't much time left. Because Katie barred the door. We're the ones, we're the ones living it today. Which is, up on the gas, but as they say, the future is now, and it's not necessarily looking as bright as it once did. And that power to change it lies with each and every one of us. More of you are going to have the guts like Antoinette Elaine, Sandy R., and many others, Hurricane Louise, and poor old Bob. And many others that coming in to fight the fight. What they're counting on is they're going to bury it. And who knows if they will succeed. But I know from my end, we're going to go down fighting. Till the very end. Because we have the greatest country in the world.
Got about 30 seconds, Roy.
And it's surely worth saving. As Sean said, we've joined the Mighty Met KMET here. In a few seconds, we'll pick up on, we'll get into the County Board of Supervisors and why I guess I can't leave them unbabysitted for more than a couple of meetings because they don't know how to run things. We'll get into the fiasco that happened down there Tuesday morning.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes out every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience on the Evil at Bay Network. YouTube, check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire, Roy Bleckert. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face and get all our archives in our first half hour of the show, where the Strait of Hormuz is open. Sesame, no problem. Ships are rolling through. Glory days are ahead. It has been, finally. We're hopefully on the track to getting back to $2 a gallon gas and all that other stuff. Well, maybe not in California, like we say. But the Strait of Hormuz is completely open, thanks to Donald J. Trump. NATO and the screwballs down there tried to come up with, Starmer and Macron were over there. We're asking that it's open. It's already open, you bumbling fools. And like Trump said, you were hiding in the corner when we asked for help. Screw you. We need to pull out of NATO, the United Nations, and all that other noise and all that. We went into more on the whole contract the Temecula School Board rejected, that nobody can find out. Antoinette Elaine's speech down there, and they said, this contract and stuff is kind of weird. And again, your school district, your teachers are screwing over your kids. It's time to get that out. Just like, that at Orange Vista, down there in Paris and Valverde, they found a student with a gun. The parents are calling for, we wanted metal detectors. No. We need to create a society like we used to have, where schools were completely open, 24/7. You could go play in the fields after school, at the school. And to quit training your kids to be slaves. The price of oil took a big dump. Thank goodness, down to $83 a barrel. As it says, as Trump officially reopens the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said he's keeping the warships in until the negotiations are completely done, yada, 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 because anything could go with that. When is a bear attack on your car really not a bear attack? Some geniuses dressed up in bear suits said their cars were damaged and then tried to collect on the insurance. They're now going to do 180 days of weekend jail in Orange County for pulling out that brain surgeon move on top of that, and much, much more. But as I said, we're down to the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. So I haven't been there a couple meetings. I've had some other stuff to do, yada, 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 but they're Tuesday at 9:30. Eddie is he's entertaining as hell. He comes up there, and he lets her rip. I'll give him that much credit. Well, he pulled some items there, and an interesting thing broke out at the County Board of Supervisors. Let's see if it will play. Here we go. As we're waiting for Eddie.
Is he walking in yet?
Yes, he is. He's getting ready to walk in.
If you're waiting on an item, I wish we would stay in the room, please, for holding us up. Can you please speak on 3.31, 3.32, and 3.3?
So these are a couple items on the sheriff's corners, Drug Enforcement Administration. Eddie's had a big problem with the sheriff's department and CAL FIRE. Hey, it's freedom of speech, free political speech, right to redress your grievances to your government. Brown Act, when you are speaking, and this is an agenda item, so it's a little different. In non-agenda items, you can talk about anything under the jurisdiction of the body, Board of Supervisors in this place. And this agenda item, that. But unless there is a point of order, you're off topic or something, The electeds, the staff, are not to interrupt you. From the First Amendment, Baca versus MUSD, you can come up there and say a lot of stuff. Now, you're responsible. My understanding, no lawyer give legal advice. So Eddie rolls up.
3. We could just put them together.
I didn't hear any of that. What?
Pardon?
Huh? What'd you say? I didn't hear any of that.
Just say it again.
Please speak on 3.31, 3.2, and 3.3.
Oh, okay.
So, there you go. He's got 9 minutes to talk. You get 3 minutes per item unless they reduce the time, and they didn't reduce the time, so he's got 9 minutes.
Do I get 9 minutes?
Just speak on your items. Next time, we won't wait for you.
It should have been up on the clock of that or whatever, but it really doesn't matter. You know, you could sit up there and hum for 9 minutes. You could really go up there for 9 minutes and say F you. And they really shouldn't interrupt you for anything.
You need to stay in the room if you've got an item pulled.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not playing games with you today. Speak.
They shouldn't, again, whether you like Eddie or not, or think he's this or that, he has a right to say whatever of that. He has a right to redress his government. He has a right of free political speech under the rules this Board of Supervisors established.
Your time's already started.
Tell me what to do.
He's right there. Don't tell him what to do. And he says, she keeps interrupting him, and like he said, I don't give an S about what you think.
A representative from the sheriff that could answer that? Can you answer that, sir? Is there an investigation into that? Yes or no?
Please don't respond.
Don't tell him what to do. Don't tell him what to do.
Again, he can ask the questions. They don't have to respond. So we wound up in a situation
Is there investigation into the Riverside County Sheriff for industrializing rape, meaning the Riverside County Sheriff uses rape as a form of coercion, blackmail, intimidation, punishment? Is there an investigation into that? Yes or no? Is there a representative from the sheriff that could answer that? Can you answer that, sir? Is there an investigation into that? Yes or no?
Please don't respond.
In fact, that is against the law. You cannot give him orders as he cannot give you orders. So it's against the law. It's in the Constitution. It's not hard. Go ahead and look it up.
Can we remove this individual?
You're going to...
That was Victor Manuel Perez, 4th District Supervisor, who just had his chief of staff convicted of a felony, little Stevie Hernandez. Said, can we remove this individual? For what reason? You have to state a reason. First, you have to give them a warning. and give them state the reason or give them a chance to correct what they are saying or doing. Let's say they're not on topic and this is an agenda item and you're not off topic, you're not addressing it, then you can call for a point of order and we can have a discussion about this. I've done this 12 million times with these cats. You can't just say, hey, we don't like what he's saying, get out of here. Baca versus MVUS frickin' D, the Moreno Valley Unified Crime frickin' Syndicate. They did that to Victoria Baca. Frank West did this exact same crap. Oh, we don't like what you're saying. We're going to throw you out. Well, Victoria Baca won that case.
Remove me? For what? For what? What am I being removed for?
For disturbing everybody, disturbing the dais.
That is not, he did not. First, he didn't state a reason. Then he comes up with a reason that is very questionable. First, they got to give him a warning. Oh, first, Victor Manuel is not president of the board. Karen Spiegel is. Per the rules as I understand it, they can't question whatever, and I've said, hey, this is ridiculous. They can't question what the presiding officer is, whatever they say goes. She didn't question it, or she's the one that's got to make that motion, not Victor. That, in my view, is another violation or alleged violation by the board, by Victor.
For what? What are you smiling at?
So now we go dead silence for a few seconds. They cut the mic, which is ridiculous. And then the mic comes back on.
He's leaving.
So, and now the officer is hand escorting him out of, it appears, the chamber. This has, now I don't know what Eddie's going to do. This has potential lawsuit written all over it. On top of that, it is not good public policy. As much as I may abhor, or the board, or people may take offense to the comments, nobody, I don't care who you are, if you think you're the kings or queens of Riverside County, because the 5 of you Board of Soups sit up on that dais, and that's what people have filled your frickin' heads with. You are not allowed to legally violate laws of the U.S. Constitution, the state of California, the county of Riverside. Please knock it off. We shall see how Eddie proceeds with this, but I really don't hope we don't see this on the closed session and filed in Riverside Superior Court or federal court. And then we're going to most likely have to pay out hundreds of thousands, millions in lawsuits and legal fees and everything else. Because we just can't follow the decorum that has been set out in the U.S. Constitution on down. So does it matter? Trump's not only got the Strait of Hormuz open, he's got the Santa Barbara oil flowing in California, the Kern County. That you see Donald J. with his USA red hat on, switches on. You got the eco-freak ding-dongs, stop, no more oil, blah, blah, blah. This is John Flashman in his Flash Report website, So Does It Matter. Sacramento's energy war. California used to help power America in the early 1900s. It was the nation's leading oil-producing state. That's 126 years ago. By 1985, it was producing about 1.1 million barrels a day. By January of this year, that figure had fallen to 244,000 barrels a day, or roughly a quarter of what we did 40-some years ago, when we pumped almost every bit of oil that was turned into gasoline or diesel or JP fuel or whatever came from California. We didn't import oil from anywhere. That was the high water mark. Trump came to our rescue. The one thing about the Strait of Hormuz is he used the Emergency Act to open up the oil in Santa Barbara, the light sweet crude, which is very easily mined into, well, when we had some refineries, gas and diesel. The Kern County oil, like the Los Angeles oil, which is heavier, which takes more, is better for asphalt or anything. The reason was, we have, 50 naval bases still left here in California, and they're saying, hey, we're not going to have any fuel. If something breaks out, we're going to be in trouble. Yeah, we got all these fancy jets and aircraft carriers. You know what? They're useless because we have no fuel. It was part of the deal about closing down the refineries. The Benicia one at Valero supplied most of the JP4 to the military installations up north. Now they got to import fuel and cause more pollution. And the eco-freaks are going to kill us faster. You're taking years off of everyone's lives by being stupid. So does it matter, as John Fleshman says, what happened at Sable should never have required presidential intervention. That is a scandal. This is oil off California's own coast, a lawful and domestic resource, a source of energy, jobs, tax revenue, and badly needed supply, yet Gavin Newsom's California has treated it like contraband. You know how many good jobs in the last 40 years went down the freaking toilet because of this? And you know where their jobs are? In Indonesia or Texas or anywhere else in all these carriers and all the pollution. The biggest polluting thing that ever was is an oil tanker carrying ship. And now we're taking fuel from Texas. We got to go 83 million miles out of our way, past Cuba or something, and then back around our stuff is something. We can't even make the direct route. This is why we're paying $6 a gallon and $7+ for diesel here in California. Even now, gay boy Gavin is still opposing the restart. They called the move reckless and evil Trump. And with everything that we've done, it belies California should never have an oil, natural gas, or anything else shortage. We got it up the wazoo. We had it. We were basically 100% energy independent up to 1985. In fact, we were a net exporter of energy for almost 100 years. As John Flashman says, this state does not have an oil shortage, it has a leadership shortage. No truer words have ever been spoken, and if you can find some, that is going to be in the top 3. We've done this to ourselves. Here's the great, maybe the greatest, and again, if he isn't in the top 3 of United States Supreme Court justices of all time, Clarence Thomas.
I think if we don't stand up and take ownership of our country and take responsible for it, we are slowly letting others control how we think and what we think. I think the beauty of going to school is that you learn how to think for yourselves. You develop the discipline to think things through. If you think it's losing confidence, then you get up and you participate. You don't sit on the sidelines. You think that the state is being run and inconsistent with how you feel, then you get up and you participate. You prepare yourself. If you think that the medical profession is not right, well, you become a doctor or be a medical.
This is what was taught in our schools up until about 20 or 30 years ago. How to make your life better. How to make the next generation more successful than we were. That has all changed. Now, as we do like that, with the comments about him, the kid with the gun at Orange Vista in Paris. Oh, we want no, so 12-foot high fence with razor wire on top ain't enough. Now we got to have metal detectors and everything. What do you next? You're going to strip search all the kids before they walk in? No. Teach them how this is. Build a society like we had where schools were open 24/7, 365. After school, you could go in there and play. Play on the fields or the monkey bars or whatever. There was no restriction. There was no need to have restriction of access.
Person, and you deal with that. I think we need to take ownership of our country. It's our country.
It's our country, and we do need to take ownership of it. It's about time more people had balls enough to do that. Sadly, for about 30 years, at least, that has gone the wrong direction. And it's very sad to say and look at and observe and live through. And this is exactly what the problem is. 5th District Supervisor. Nobody even running against him this election cycle. They schedule in Edgemont at the Towngate Community Center. You can see my comments. They schedule the district budget meetings right against exactly the same time, same day as the city council. And if you don't think they're arrogant, and again, Estienne Gutierrez owes his political career to the late Victoria Baca, and he's stomping all over your right to redress your governments. And then when they have the budget, oh, we had these workshops that we de facto locked you out of. Who do you think they were trying to prevent from showing up? I'll give you 3 guesses. And all 3 of them have the first name of Roy. Again, Estienne, David Laratellas, Elena Baca Santa Cruz, prove me wrong. I'll give you all the opportunity to come in and do it. hopefully it's Friday. The weekend's coming. Lots of stuff to do. The Long Beach Grand Prix, Indy cars, IMSA, vintage cars are running all weekend. The National Orange Show's on. Well, I think started Wednesday runs through 10 days. The Orange Show Speedway will be running Saturday night, so they'll have a full slate of races, which I believe you can get into. Don't quote me on it, but I think a fair admission gets you in to see the races and everything else. So that should be a good show. Out here in the IE, it looks like it's going to be a fabulous weather weekend, sunny and 75, so there's no excuse to get out there and get after it and have some fun. Because as we know, Monday comes around way too quickly. And then I'll be back on here on the air reporting on all the fun stuff that went on over the weekend, as we usually do. But again, it really is important. It is important to let your hair down, you relax, you have a little fun on the weekends of that, so you don't go absolutely, completely nuts and bonkers like they're trying to do to us. We got to be smarter than them. Again, kudos to Antoinette Elaine, the Temecula School Board, and all those cats down there that rejected at least one stupid contract or said, hey, let's take a look at it, or this stuff is. Keep in mind, here in a couple weeks, Top Tune in June, got to get Steve and Chad in as the two of that. Maybe we'll have a chance to save California from the clutches of the evil forces that have grabbed a hold of the once Golden State in our lives here, but we shall see of that. That'll do it for this week. As we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 71 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid program.
All right, Roy, have a good weekend.
We'll give her a big shot.
Talk to you later.
You got it. Ah.